Anand, do you know why Russia is losing so many tanks in Ukraine? Well, there are five main reasons. The first one is logistics. Yes, you heard me right, logistics. It takes some time for the supply to arrive from Russia to their troops fighting in Ukraine, and by the time they arrive, they will be destroyed by the Ukraine armed forces, which causes a lot of supplies being lost to them. The second reason is the incompetence of Russian troops. When Russian troops are surrounded, overwhelmed, or are low on supply, they just simply abandon their positions and flee or surrender to the Ukrainian armed forces. With these many forces surrendering, Russia is quickly running out of armored supply, as most of their crews simply abandon their vehicles and tanks if they run out of fuel or are low on spare parts, and the Ukrainian take these tanks, repair them, and use them against the Russians this time. The third reason is the lack of Russian infantry. With Russian armored forces finally realizing that they are losing most of their tanks because of the lack of infantry support, they started conscripting and training men all around the country. Russian tanks are just simply being put into convoys to attack Ukrainian positions. If they had infantry support, the infantry could have scouted the area before and eliminate any threats from Ukrainian anti-tank missiles destroying the Russian tanks. The Ukrainians have set up a hotline called I Want to Live for Russian troops, and many Russian soldiers and conscripts have dialed that number even before being conscripted, showing that no Russian soldier wants to fight. And with these many troops surrendering en masse, the Russians aren't getting any troops to protect their tanks with. The fourth reason is that Russia is not using its tanks properly. You might recognize this as the Russian T-72 tank, which was used the most and which suffered the most in Ukraine. But let me tell you that this tank was not used properly in Ukraine. See, modern main battle tanks are made for a doctrine which is called as a combined arms doctrine, where infantry, artillery, aircraft, and tanks work together to overcome enemy positions. This doctrine was successfully used by the Allies in World War I when they used infantry, tanks, and artillery and aircraft to work in close coordination to overcome German positions, and 2 decades later standardized by the Nazi Germany and the Russian deep battle doctrine in World War II. But in present day Ukraine, this tactic is absent, as Russian convoys move in single format without air support, infantry support, or artillery support, and Ukraine just using drones. This is why the T-72 suffered the most. The fifth reason is the lack of air surveillance Russia has. Russia hasn't conducted a lot of air operations since the start of the war and still hasn't been conducting. This led to many Ukrainian drone launch sites and missile sites being undetected by Russian infantry and artillery, and this led to many Russian tanks being destroyed by the drones. Russian tanks just roam around with no defense at all against drones, and without any anti-air systems or infantry to protect them, and convoys being easily destroyed by Ukrainian drones because there is no aircraft to spot them.